Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we are going to do a technique called wash then ink. And if you'd like a real-time version of this lesson, you can find it up now in Critique Club. I'll put a link in the video description. When you join Critique Club, you have access to all of the tutorials I've posted over the last 5 years, and I post 2 new every month. So I'm starting off in my French sketchbook, and this is a sketchbook that I used all the time I was in France. And I am just using some watercolor to basically block in this street scene. This is a photo I took in Albi, and I just love the little buntings that were hanging up between the buildings in this narrow alley, and I thought it would be a really fun thing to sketch when I got home. And I've done this technique a few times, but I've had mixed results, and I think it's just one of those things where you've got to just do it a few times in order to really get the hang of it. So basically the premise behind this technique is you block in everything with watercolor first, like really loosely. So you establish the different buildings and whatnot. You're just kind of blocking in, and then after that dries, you go in with pen and ink and you add your details. And I thought this would be kind of a fun way to approach an urban sketch situation, which is something that I've been working on quite a bit over the last year or so. I just love the old architecture and stuff like that. I find it very interesting, even though I'm not much of a like straight line, super precise sketcher when it comes to stuff like that. I tend to draw more like organic things like flowers and still lifes and things like that. I don't tend to do expansive things like landscapes and urban sketches, but it's something I want to do more of. So I'm just trying different techniques to see what's going to suit me the most. And I thought this might be kind of a nice technique for me, since I do tend to like to work really kind of loose and broad and then refine as I go. So here I've got the basic sketch down, and as I look over to my reference photo, I've got stuff out of proportion. It was not as accurate as I was hoping, but it does have a little bit of life and color in it, which I like, and I decided to add to that by throwing in some spatters. And I don't know if that was the best choice or not, but I just wanted to kind of break it up a bit, because the look that I'm really going for with the urban sketches is more loose and sketchy, basically. I'm not there yet, you know what I mean? I've been doing urban sketching for about a year. I've been trying to improve it for about a year, so it's not something I do every week. There's definitely some learning curves, and if I did it more often, I would get better quicker. That's the thing with art. We all can get better if we just practice and we do it more, and the more we do it, the better we'll get. And I'm here to show you that not everything comes out perfectly. Sometimes we struggle, and we have the bad pancakes, and we have the artwork that doesn't come out exactly the way that we wanted. But one of the things that I like to do in Critique Club is, share what I'm actually working on, what I'm struggling with, what what I'm trying to improve on, so that hopefully it is, it's not only informative, but it also kind of shows you the steps that it takes to learn something and to get better at something, because we don't come out of the womb knowing how to draw. We don't come out of the womb knowing, perspective and knowing, line work and knowing how to use all these materials and tools. We try, we practice, we fail, and that's how we learn. If everything you do comes out perfectly every time, then you're not learning very much. You don't really know why things work unless you make mistakes and then you say, oh, okay, that didn't work, but let me try it this way because this might work. And I know a lot of times we don't talk about that. We just kind of show step 1, step 2, step 3 to get to the desired result. But showing why things are working and why they're not, I think, is more helpful, honestly. Seeing the messes more than the successes, because that's what you're going to learn by. So the pens that I'm using here are just a new set of like fine liners by Art-Me. There's so many generic fine liners out there. I find they generally all work about the same. And if you have a pen like this one right here that's really thick, it's like a brush pen, those need to be heat set or they are going to run. It's just because you're putting so much ink down at once on a sized paper, like watercolor paper. This is Saunders Waterford, I believe, that I have in this book right here. It's a heavily sized paper, so definitely heat set it or expect a little bit of resolubility when you go in to add water. I didn't notice any of the finer lines bleeding at all after I added water over them. So I'm just kind of going in and adding some more line work. And I'm going to go back in with some watercolor now that I've got some structure down, because it felt very mid-tone. Like I didn't feel like I had enough contrast. I didn't feel like I had enough interest going in there. I did like that I had a little bit more increased color versus what was there. But I mean, when you're there, you see these brightly colored shutters. It's a much more bright in person, it seems like. Or maybe it's just the feeling of being there. It just feels more vibrant and bright. So I was going in with some cobalt teal and some darker browns and grayed browns just to kind of throw in some hints at crevices and doorways and shadows and whatnot. This was probably around early afternoon, so there wasn't any like really extreme shadows or anything. And I'm just trying to kind of sculpt a little bit of I don't know, shape here and there, get some interest happening. And I did decide that I wanted to use gouache in this piece because of the buntings, and I wasn't really worried about saving out my whites or anything. I wanted this to be very sketch feeling. And I did enjoy this. This is one of those things. I enjoy doing the sketch, but the whole time I was feeling like, oh, is this good enough to put up to show other people? But I was enjoying it. And then it's like, well, other people try things and struggle, and this might be helpful. And also, there are many times where this was quite the hot mess, and I'm happy with the way it turned out. So being able to take something that's really loose and sketchy and bring it to a point where it captures the memory and it makes you, I don't know, it makes it something that you're happy with and something that you like the vibe of. Being able to kind of wrangle it to that state, I think, is a good lesson to learn. So what I'm doing here is using some paints. These are actually the Da Vinci gouache. They've been dried in that little palette for over a month. And I was curious to see how they would re-wet, because they've been dried in this palette for a couple months. I haven't used them in this palette in over a month. And look, that white re-wet just fine. Actually, I think that might be the strong point of the Da Vinci gouache. And I didn't give the Da Vinci gouache a 100% favorable review. You can find my I didn't even say it was a really critical review. I feel like it's a pretty honest review. My review for that is on my YouTube channel, but I think where this gouache is going to excel is the drying in pans and reactivating, because it's got more binder in it than other brands, in my opinion. And it really acts a little bit more like watercolor than like gouache. But the white reactivated fine, and it's nice and opaque, and I really like that. Did get a little bit of cracking in the pans, but nothing really substantial, and it re-wet really well. I just put a couple drops of water in each pan about 5 minutes before I went to use it, and yeah, they perked right back to life. So, and that was after not being touched in a month. And I have a video on making that little palette too, because it was from a little plastic, I think it was like nicotine mints or something. I don't know. I picked up this little plastic container on the ground when I was walking the dog. Sometimes I'll do that. I'll just pick up trash, because like yesterday I saw a rubber band on the ground and I thought an animal might eat it or get it tangled. So I just, it could look like a worm and a bird might try to eat it. So I picked it up and brought it home with me, threw it away when I got home. So sometimes I'll pick up garbage. I'm a trash lady. And yeah, I turned it into a palette when I got home. And it's workable, Did I need to? No, I have empty palettes that I really should use. But I don't know. I like making something from nothing, I guess. I don't know. I've got a whole room of hoard that I need to clean and really critically look at some of my quote unquote recyclabilities that I have saved. Because seriously, I need to bring some order to that. I think that's part of the reason I've been in kind of like a funk since I got back from France. I've been tired, jet lagged, I guess. I don't know. But I've just been like overwhelmed maybe. And I feel like I just need to refresh my space a bit. Even if it is my, room of hoard storage room, which is just practical and not pretty. Maybe I just need to make it pretty. I don't know. I want to enjoy working in there more. And right now I'm just feeling like I go downstairs because I work in my basement, and granted it's getting nice out here, so I want to be outside in the sun, but I also love to work. I love to create, and I'm not feeling it, not feeling it. So what I'm doing down there in the background is I'm painting these buntings. I did all the white, let it dry, did all the red. When I get to the further down the street ones where you can't really make out the buntings too well, I'm just dabbing the paint in just like randomly along the little strings, just because when you're looking at something, you're focusing on like the banners closer to you, everything in the background is just going to fade away, right? So just keep your detail to one visual plane and let everything else get a little fuzzy, and that's going to give you the illusion of detail, and it's going to make it look more realistic, and it's going to make it, well, this doesn't really look realistic, it's very cartoony, but it's going to give it more depth. And for a sketch, this is a sketch, it's in my sketchbook. This is, you know, I feel like I'm defending this painting like, what? Like, well, I know it looks like a big mess, but I'm going to defend it. I actually like it. So yeah, that's a hard thing about creating tutorials online, is that you might like something and be really excited about it and really enjoy it, but then you also have to think, well, is anybody else going to like this, or are they all going to laugh at me? You know, it's just one of those, you know, one of those things that we focus on. It's the things that live rent free in our heads as artists, especially if we share our work online, I think. But anyway, I like it. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. But it was actually a really fun sketch to do. I loved putting like the little kind of paths where people had walked, just kind of like just with some palette mud, just putting in those rough little lines. I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool. Now I wanted to dry this down because I wanted to see how glossy the red might look on the paper. It was a little bit shiny. And that was my major qualm with the Da Vinci gouache, is that like some of the colors, especially the more bold colors, were kind of shiny, like they were overbound and kind of transparent, but not enough to bother me in this. I grabbed a gold pen and I went to write in one of the signs, but it was more of a glitter and not more of an opaque pen, so whatever, it's fine. And now I'm just going in and redoing some of the whites just to make them pop a little bit more, but that's pretty much it to this sketch. It was a fun memory of seeing this really quaint, beautiful street, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you like the real-time version, you can check it out in Critique Club. Critique Club is $5 a month. You can upload 2 original artworks per month for feedback from me, and you can do all the tutorials that I have in the back catalog, which is a lot. And I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up before you go if you enjoyed this. Until next time, happy crafting!